Or Hurricane Earl, it looks like, could be smashing into the Outer Banks in North Carolina on the eastern seaboard. John McMurray, a legendary meteorologist in the state of Michigan, knows little about the Outer Banks in North Carolina. He knows a lot about hurricanes, too, and he's on the other end of our line. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
Great to hear your voice again. Tell us your connection to the Outer Banks and to hurricanes.
Well, the Outer Banks, years ago, in fact, it was about 16 years ago, J.P. McCarthy had a cannonball run on his 39-foot Sea Ray, and we left Miami, headed north, and we went out from northern Florida, out of the intercoastal, ran all the way up to the Carolinas and past Pancake Shoal and headed in towards Charleston, South Carolina. So a little bit south of there, and then we ran all the way up to Norfolk. So that was one connection to the Outer Banks, but it's going to be an interesting event for residents in the Outer Banks over the next 48 to 72 hours. Earl is still a pretty powerful system, downgraded one step to a Category 3, but still 125-mile-an-hour winds that's tracking to the northwest. So it's going to come close, and possibly it would be not as dangerous if it moved onshore. It would lose a little bit of its punch, but it's expected to remain offshore. And that could really wallop the Outer Banks area with some pretty powerful winds.
So it's the sort of lashing edges of the hurricane that cause the most damage as opposed to the center of the hurricane, then, you're saying?
That is absolutely correct. The center of the hurricane is what is referred to as the eye, and that is really the calmest of all winds. But out on the fringe, you get the very, very strong wind speeds, and if it stays over the relatively warmer ocean currents of the Gulf Stream, it definitely will be still a very, very powerful system. Whereas if it moves onshore, it loses its characteristics pretty quickly. But it definitely is going to hammer those Outer Bank areas in the next 48 to 72 hours.
Understand the beaches are closed there for people. They don't want anybody swimming because of riptides. And those islands are small and getting smaller by the year, as I understand. Sometimes they lose up to 15 feet of beach in one season.
Yeah, sometimes, but the real estate is very, very expensive there, and that's the problem. I mean, you're piling people on top of each other, and in one small area, and there's only two bridges, I think, of any significance to get the residents off. So they may be doing some fast two-steps to get off of the islands.
Are New England, New York, are they in any jeopardy after the hurricane passes the Outer Banks?
Well, it looks like it's going to drop down one category more as it heads northward into the slightly cold waters of the Atlantic, loses some of its punch. Probably the south shore of Long Island will get hammered a bit with winds. I remember as a youngster going out on Long Island. Going out on the island is analogous to going up north in Michigan. We used to sit on the sand dunes, and the boats that were at the moorings, we used to mark where they were because you'd come back the next day, they're all overturned. Everything has fallen down on the sound floor, and we used to go and dive for and recover all that equipment.
Wow. We have a nice Pure Michigan weekend on tap for Labor Day?
Oh, we look for some really significant changes in our conditions. There's thunderstorms off in West Michigan right now. We'll see that this afternoon, and then the winds eventually will shift to the northwest, push of cooler, more comfortable air. If you're going to go to the game on Saturday, State, make sure you take a jacket. High temperatures only getting to 70 degrees for the day. But it will be dry Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Same goes in Ann Arbor, I guess, then, too, huh?
That is absolutely correct. Temperatures definitely turning a bit, but I think overall for the month of September and the season, the autumn season, reasonably mild, maybe add if that'll touch it to above normal. So the warm summer carries into a mild fall.
What will the temperature be on the Mackinac Bridge Monday morning at 7 a.m. when the governor does her bridge walk, and I'll be right alongside there?
Temperatures very likely will be about 50, 51, so I think it's going to be a very, very chilly setting. Okay. Maybe even the upper 40s in some locations up north for the bridge walk.
Good to know. Thank you very much. Have a terrific weekend on the edge there on the Saginaw Bay if you're heading to the boat, and we'll talk to you soon.
You bet.
All the best to our friend John McMurray this morning.